being good has its perks.
I'm dead! I'm dead!
I have to go do a vlog.
We got ourselves a sick day.
Sick day, and I figure I should do a spoiler alert for this video because I'm going to show why MegaMind is legally and morally untenable and wrong in the end.
It's like 10 years old. No, it's probably more than that.
Hey Siri, when was MegaMind made?
MegaMind was released October 30th, 2010.
10 years old.
10 years old.
So spoiler alert, I'm going to ruin the end of the movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Shoot!
All right, you've been warned.
Oh God.
35 minutes later. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the film MegaMind, and yes, I'm referring to it as a film because it is a work of art. MegaMind is the story of two individuals, MegaMind and Metroman, who both escape dying planets that are getting sucked into a black hole to find themselves on Earth. Through accidents of nature and fate, MegaMind happens to have a massive light bulb-shaped blue head, whereas Metroman is more attractive by traditional standards, well-built, muscular, etc., etc. In their journey from their dying galaxy to Earth, Metroman happens to land in the lap of luxury, bumping MegaMind into, let's just say, not a lap of luxury, prison. And MegaMind and Metroman end up becoming arch rivals. MegaMind gets directed into a life of criminality and evil, and Metroman gets directed to a life of heroism and saving the day. Alright, first parentheses to this video. DreamWorks, whoever owns the rights to this video, nothing in this video constitutes anything other than fair use, so don't copy strike me, don't even try. Because you know what I'm gonna do? Probably nothing. Just complain and hope that you drop the claim and... Okay, back to the video. And throughout their life, they develop a relationship whereby MegaMind is the evil to Metroman's heroism. Every evil plan that MegaMind devises is foiled by Metroman, until the time that MegaMind actually thinks that he successfully kills Metroman. And then MegaMind finds that he is left without a yin to his yang. He has no force of good to counter his force of evil, so what does he decide to do? Being the evil genius that he is, he picks up a piece of DNA from Metroman, puts it into some sort of capsule, and his grand plan is that he's going to find some unsuspecting human receptacle whom he is going to turn into the hero to continue to fight him and foil his evil plans. And that is where Hal comes in. Hal is a rather average person who happens to be a reporter working with Roxanne Ritchie, who is the love interest to both Metroman and MegaMind. And Hal, through no fault of his own, ends up being the receptacle that gets the Metroman DNA capsule up his nose, such that MegaMind decides to craft Hal, the otherwise average person, into a superhero to continue to fight MegaMind. But supervillains make plans and God laughs, and what ends up happening? Hal develops these superpowers, and he gets trained by MegaMind, who seems to be disguised as Marlon Brando or the Godfather. But Hal gets his training into how to become a superhero and gets overwhelmed by the powers that he has, and he in turn becomes a supervillain. Such a supervillain with such superpowers that even MegaMind has trouble combating the powers of Titan. Anyhow, I'm not going to recite the entire movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's fantastic. But skipping right to the end,
Spoiler alert.
MegaMind ends up sucking the Metroman DNA capsule out of Titan's nose, thereby reducing Titan back to Hal. Titan, the super powerful, super muscular supervillain, back to Hal. And at the end of the movie, when MegaMind has turned good and realized that it's better to use one's powers for good than for evil, and Titan has been defeated, we see Hal in jail, dancing, singing, "I'm bad, I'm bad." Incidentally, I may have to put other music over that so that this video doesn't get copy striked, but that's the end of the movie. Hal in jail. And that is bullplop. That is legal bullplop. Hal has no business in jail, and I'm gonna tell you why. If we agree that Hal should be in jail, we have to agree that he committed a crime. And on its face, it would seem that Hal committed a great number of crimes. Kidnapping, destruction of public property,
Blowing up buildings.
assault on the mayor by flicking him something like 60 feet, which would kill any normal person.
Thank you! Titan has freed us!
Oh, I wouldn't say free. More like under new management.
But I put to you that Titan, i.e. Hal, is not guilty of anything for the following reason. In law, there is a defense known as automatism. Well, we all know about the defense of insanity or not being criminally responsible for one's actions. And in cases of the defense of... 1, 2, 3, huh? Oh, there you go. Ugh. In cases of defensive insanity, the individual meant to commit the act. They intended to commit the act, but were incapable of appreciating that it was wrong when they did it. Hence, they committed the actus reus, and they had the mens rea of committing the act, but they were incapable, given their mental state, of appreciating that what they were doing was in fact wrong. They are responsible for what they've done, but not criminally responsible for what they've done. So they usually end up in institutions for treatment as opposed to prison for punishment. This is to be distinguished from the defense of automatism or involuntary intoxication. Can I put you down? That's a yes. Ugh! Automatism, meaning that they have entered some sort of automatic state. They're like an automaton. They're just moving and they don't actually know what they're doing. Sleepwalking is the classic example. And sleepwalking has been used as valid defenses to a number of crimes. Now, involuntary intoxication is to be distinguished from voluntary intoxication, which is itself not usually a defense. In cases of voluntary intoxication, the person intended to take the drugs. They therefore can't say, well, I'm not responsible for what I did under the influence because they voluntarily took the drugs in the first place. Involuntary intoxication is totally different. Involuntary intoxication is that the person didn't intend to consume the drugs in the first place, or intended to consume the drugs but had no idea of the secondary interactive psychological effects that they could have. And involuntary intoxication is a defense that is frequently used in DUIs, and it typically applies to secondary effects of medication that people were taking for other reasons. Think Tiger Woods, who pleaded involuntary intoxication. Tiger Woods was taking a number of prescription drugs, got behind the wheel of a car, and found himself intoxicated because of the interaction between the drugs, but involuntarily so.
Allegedly.
And this is not to affirm or deny the validity of the defense in Tiger Woods' specific case, but that's the classic example. Someone's taking prescription medication, has no idea that it's going to intoxicate them legally, and therefore they are involuntarily intoxicated as a secondary result of the medication that they were taking. And incidentally, involuntary manslaughter. Sorry, I meant intoxication. You gotta love the power of editing. I can come in before I send this out to the world and correct my mistakes. Was part of the defense used by Michelle Carter in the charges that were brought against her in the suicide death of her boyfriend because she was texting him, egging him on to commit suicide, and she was ultimately convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 15 months in prison. Her defense actually pleaded involuntary intoxication as a result of certain psychiatric medication that she was taking, which put her in a certain state where she was effectively intoxicated and therefore not responsible for her actions as a result of that involuntary intoxication. From what I understand, that defense did not work in that case. She was sentenced to 15 months in prison, and I will probably be doing a vlog on that case because, as tragic as it is a very interesting question in law as to what someone's level of responsibility is for the suicide of another as a result of text messages, written messages, spoken word, etc. But now, back to Titan, Hal, and that MetroMan DNA capsule that was rammed up his nose unknowing to Hal. That capsule up Hal's nose was nothing more than a drug. It was a drug that, after having bounced off walls, ceilings, and floors, ended up lodged in Hal's nose with all of the effects that it had on Hal psychologically and physically. It's no different than the situation of high school kids putting LSD in their teacher's coffee. Alright, last parentheses of the video, I promise. I feel compelled to highlight the severity of these types of pranks because people think that these are somehow not serious crimes, victimless crimes, funny gags. These are very, very serious crimes. Spiking people's food, drinks, whatever with drugs. Very serious crimes with potentially very serious consequences. Felony consequences. Depending on your jurisdiction, it could qualify as poisoning somebody. It can qualify as felony assault. It's not a joke. Don't do it. It's not funny. Don't ever think about doing it. PSA, now you know. Back to the video and let's go. Hal has no idea what has happened to him and what is happening to him. All that he knows is that he thinks he got stung on the nose with a bee. He goes to sleep and wakes up massive, ripped, buff with somebody telling him that he's going to be a superhero. He is quite literally under the influence of drugs unbeknownst to him, and as of the moment those drugs take effect, Hal is no longer responsible for his actions because he is in literally a state of automatism. He is taken over by the power of the drugs, and it is no longer Hal that is acting, it is Titan. That being Hal under the involuntary intoxication of the MetroMan DNA. And the effect of those drugs, that being MetroMan's DNA, it's so immediate, it's so distinct, it's so clear-cut that the second MegaMind pulls the capsule out of Titan's nose, he goes right back to being regular old Hal.
Olo.
He is no longer under the influence, neither physical nor psychological, of these drugs, and he goes right back to being regular old Hal. So how can he be in prison at the end of the movie for all the acts that he carried out as Titan under the influence of these drugs
That MegaMind put up his nose?
Sorry, I'm getting very excited here, but the bottom line is he should not be imprisoned. First of all, it's not even clear that Hal stood trial in the first place, which is itself an egregious violation of fundamental rights. But let's assume he stood trial. If his lawyers did not raise the defense of automatism and involuntary intoxication, they should not be defense attorneys. Hal should have been found innocent by reason of automatism, involuntary intoxication, and in fact, MegaMind should go to jail for intoxicating Hal. So all that to say, even though I love the movie MegaMind, I must have watched it 50 times already, it is legally totally untenable and inaccurate. And if you like my videos, be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section below, share my channel with anybody who will watch. It will help me grow. If you want some merch, I always put the link in the comment section below. And now you know your vlog. Peace out. Booyah!